Good morning, everyone. Today we're reading from Matthew 5, verse 27 to 48, part of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus is going to be talking about adultery, lust, divorce, truth-telling, oath-swearing, and enemy love. Big passage, an intimidating passage, part of Jesus' Kingdom Manifesto. And before you read that, I just want to share with you some prayer pointers, because we as a church are embarking upon this week 5 days of prayer and fasting. And I really would want to encourage you to consider going without food for 24 hours to contend in God in prayer for something that's close to your heart, whatever it may be. As a church, we're suggesting 5 different prayer focuses, one for each day, and there'll be accompanying prayer meetings. Information about all the prayer pointers and prayer meetings going on this week will be below this video. But today, as we kick off a week of prayer and fasting, we're going to be praying for the NHS and for our NHS workers and for maternity care in the country. Michelle writes in some article that we produced with some prayer pointers, again, which you can find below, but she writes this, that at the time of writing, our local hospital trusts have a caesarean section rate of over 50%. And this has long-term impacts on the health of both mothers and babies. And to provide some context, the World Health Organization, the WHO, recommends a global C-section rate of just 10%. So our maternity system is under a lot of pressure and needs prayer, needs wisdom, needs help, and we need to pray for the midwives who do the fantastic and often quite just traumatizing and difficult work. As much as it's full of, one born every minute, beautiful stories of delight and new life, it's also a very pressured, difficult place where women working in maternity services are faced with some life or death decisions often. So pray for them today. Pray tomorrow for our young people, particularly for our boys and girls in the church and outside the church. And we're contending with God to see a change in the mental health challenges facing young people, and also contending in prayer to see a change in some of the sexual impurity culture or the sexual promiscuity around us. As a church, we believe that God's word for us and his guidance, his good guidance for us, enables us to steer a path through the rocks and the challenges that we face when it comes to our sexuality. But there's an unspoken epidemic among young people. According to a YouGov survey, 36% of men, 4% of women admit to watching porn at least once a week, and 25%, 1 in 4 of all 18 to 30-year-olds admit to watching porn every single day. There's 1 in 4 young people, 1 in 4 people under the age of 30 say they watch porn every day. And just think of the impact that has on them, their brains, and also on their relationships with members of the opposite sex. According to one generational statistician, Jean Twenge, she writes in her book, iGen, she says that the current generation of young people are having less sex than previous generations were, partly because they're watching more porn than ever before. And when young people do come together, young girls are reporting that they're being physically assaulted by their partners, as young boys are being conditioned to behave aggressively and violently in sex by the amount of porn that they're watching. This is deeply grieving, and it should provoke us as a church to pray. Among other things, pray. That's what this week is about. It's contending with God for issues that are important to us. So I put this before you as something to pray for, and there'll be more information to fuel your prayers and aid your prayers, as I said below. But that's it for now. I'm sure God will continue to speak to you through his word as you read them, but please do, let's set aside some time as God's people to fast for our nation, for our young people, for our health services, and for other things as well. God bless you. See you soon.